So, how did the business work? I basically, remember I showed you, I'm in the middle. There was the provider that had all the candidates, and here was the employer. Let's call the employer Argus. Here's the company. Let's put, what's another popular one? A4E, CDG. Let's even call it Job Center. Yeah, everyone knows about them. Yeah, so let's put JCP. Okay, and there you are in the middle. So here's the government up here who says, all right, I'm going to give you guys 5 million to get 5,000 ex-offenders into employment. Here's Argus, who are like, do you know what? We need staff, but you know, we're not gonna pay a recruitment company money to find a sales assistant or a cashier or a cleaner. There's no point spending money on that for someone we're going to pay. At the time when I was running it, I think the minimum wage was about £5.50 an hour. You know, it actually started about £3.85, and then after a few years, £5.85. The time I finished with recruitment, it was about £7 was the minimum wage, because London Living came into place. But anyway, Argus, Mothercare, most retailers, New Look, they were another big client of ours. Company was called Blueprint Recruitment, by the way. They all wanted staff and huge turnovers. Do you know that Argus makes 90% of its profit at Christmas? I don't even need to explain why. Okay, if you don't know Argus, they sell electronics. All the stuff for your kids. They're like Amazon before Amazon came about. Yeah, if you wanted to walk into an Amazon store, Argus was the equivalent. They just pretty much had everything. You walk in there and you got it quite cheap. Good customer service, great returns policy. You can even buy jewelry from there. Yeah, cubic zirconias, Elizabeth Duke, and they'll make it look like it's from Goldsmiths or Fraser Hart. But don't buy that for your lady, because they can tell, because they shop in Argus too. It's a word to all the men out there. So Argus needed staff. They didn't want to pay. So I came up with this idea that, listen, Mr. Argus, I'll give you staff for free. Yeah, I'll do it. And I remember managers, one of the most popular ones was Foot Asylum in Stratford, Westfield. And he said to me, wait, let me get this straight. You're gonna find people for me, send them for me to interview. And if I don't like them, I can just tell you I don't like them. And that doesn't cost me anything. And if I do like them and I take them on and hire them, I still don't pay you anything. And I was like, crazy, right? But yeah. I actually had some employers used to say to me they didn't want to work with me because they didn't trust me. They actually thought, there's no way you're not charging anything, so I'm not going to do business. And I used to laugh and go, honestly, mate, we're not going to charge you a thing. And it's not a con. And I was quite forthcoming at where the money came from. Where did it come from? The Labour government. Directly, it came from the Labour, but I didn't get it from the Labour. I would allow companies such as A4E, Working Link, CDG, Job Centre, you name it, to chase and do all the hard work of tendering, which is basically bidding for a contract. I would let them win the £5 million contract. I don't need 5 million, give me 100K and I'm good. And I would then approach them and say, right, I tell you what, give me 10% of what you earn to put these candidates into work, and I'll do all the hard work for you. So I would go to the company and they would basically give me 50 to 100 ex-offenders, disabled, youth, long-term unemployed, single parents, you name it. They'll give me 50 to 100 of them and say, you know, place them. And I would say, wow, I think one of my initial contracts, I was getting about £500 per person I put into work. So I thought £500. That means if I put 10 in, that's 5 grand. I put 100 into work, that's 50 grand. And all I needed is magical instruments here. A laptop, a mobile phone, a SIM-only contract, and business cards. So I didn't even have to network to get my candidate base, because the government gave them the money. They had so many unemployed registered on their books. They literally handed me my candidates. The employers were everywhere. I mean, if you can put people into work for free, you can walk into any shop where you're held up high. Like, hey, how you doing? You need staff? I can give it to you for free. For free? Yes, absolutely free. So where do you get paid? Oh, don't worry, we've got an agreement with the government that pays us for these people. Oh, that's why you don't charge us, because they're ex-offenders, because they're this, they're that. No, and then that's where the salesmanship comes into play, where you help sell as to why these candidates that you're going to provide them are actually top-notch and a solution. In fact, you tell them because of their lack of experience, lack of education or qualification, or their colourful past, that this is why they're so keen to work for the small amount of money that you're paying. And they'll go, okay, so this is not going to cost me, let's give it a shot. Or you say, look, let's try a pilot. Just take 2 of my guys. As I said, it's free. Try them out for a week, 2 weeks, and let me know what you think. Trust me, they'll get back to you after 2 days and say, do you know what, Kwame, we love them, they're great. We decided to sign a contract and give it to them. Then simply was the invoice going over to the company that gave me the candidate, saying, right, they've started work. Here's evidence that they've started work by an employment letter or a P45 from the government saying that you're now working. Some sort of evidence. I would need to evidence that they're actually working. And then I would bill them. And then I would bill them 3 months later for the large amount. Some contracts I was able to just bill them all from the start. So I found a gap in the market which was catering to a demographic that no one wanted to touch, which provided a solution to every employer across the nation that needed. And all I had to do, it wasn't even a magic trick. All I simply did was I would take someone who was a bit rough around the edges and just neaten them up. Sometimes we were able to secure funding. You know, there's actually charities out there that are funded to support people who are financially struggling in expensive designer suits. You know, shoes, the suit, the socks. Yeah, they go by various names. You can easily Google it. I can't remember any of them on the top of my head. So I could literally send my candidates to these organizations and they will dress them up and make them look good. Once you look the part, then you feel the part. And then in between that process, before the interview, I'll then teach them an interview techniques. How to research, what the company was about, what questions to ask, how to answer questions, how to use transferable skills, how to make their past or their experience sound like a positive for why they should secure that position within that company. By literally applying that model to every customer, every client or candidate rather that was sent to me, they were then going into employment. Yes, we did have some hiccups. There were some people that did some bad things. It did go south sometimes, but because the majority, 80% of the time was fantastic, you know, the employer or the customer, if you like, was willing to overlook. Sometimes it's what the employer went, or they were cracked up to be, and the candidate had an issue. But one thing I do want to reiterate, yes, it cost me £500. Yes, I was able to find a gap in the market and deliver. And yes, I loved every bit of it. But I could not have done any of that if I didn't have passion. I couldn't have done any of that if I didn't find an effective habit and repeat it. And I couldn't have done any of that without intense hard work. I basically modeled myself after recruitment companies I had worked for, which taught me the game, the name of the game of recruitment. I applied consistent hard work to what I did, but most importantly, I was passionate. I just loved seeing somebody, you know, the slogan back then was building lives, creating futures. And that's essentially what we were doing. We were building lives and creating futures. Someone will come to you and get a job. You know, like I said to you, there's some people I placed in 2008 in Argos, Tottenham Retail Park. If you don't believe me, walk into Tottenham Hale Retail Park, Argos, and say, does anyone in here know a guy called Kwame? Guaranteed one of my staff members will be working there, and they'll tell you, yes, he put me here back in 2008. And the reason why, you know, they're still working there is maybe because that's all they need. It's covering their money. You know, unfortunately, our business model wasn't there to elevate them beyond that, which is something I wanted to do, but I couldn't get enough money to develop on that. But now we do with KB Consultancy. So any of them are free to come to this organization, we will help them. But the key thing that I really want to put across is, yes, I was able to start a business with £500, but most importantly, I was passionate about it. If you do not have the passion, forget it. Don't jump on the wave and try and make yourself interested because this is the new business model everyone's jumping on. Try and find a business model that incorporates what you would naturally do, whether you're paid or not, and apply it to the business, and you're in the game. £500 business model. Within 3 years, turnover 250,000. Why did I stop? Because the Labour government lost power, and the Tories took over and they withdrew all the funding. I saw that wave coming, which is another thing you should do when running a business. Watch the market, check for legislation, stay ahead of the game. And I saw that there was going to be a dip, and that's when I started moving towards KB Consultancy, and I'm glad that I have, because we're winning even bigger now. So hope you've enjoyed. Hope it's actually giving you the motivation and the knowledge to go and set up something. It doesn't have to be recruitment, but it could be something that can start for cheap. You've got online, you've got free social media, you've got so many aspects now that I didn't even have back in 2007. Use it, make that P, become a better version of yourself. KB out. Thank you for watching.